I felt like I ripped myself prematurely from that life, and to go back to this life and to see, wow, I have so many friends and so much family, and I have work here, and I have a full, happy life here. But it's also not what I see for myself anymore.
Welcome to the Visualize Meditations podcast, hosted by your gal pal, Sasha, a Chopra certified meditation teacher, athlete, and adventurer. This is a place where high performance and health meets fulfillment and fun. Each week, I'm bringing you guided visualization meditations and honest solo sessions where I share personal development, my most unhinged stories, and intimate interviews. Whether we're chatting wellness, achievement, or building an aligned community, we're here to create the life of your dreams and have an absolute blast doing it.
Hi, hello. What the hell is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Visualize Meditations podcast. Your girl is here, and she's ready to go. To paint the scene for you right now, I'm currently in my new LA pad. I just moved here yesterday, and I will be here for the longest period of time I've been anywhere since late 2024. So it's been over a year and a half at this point since I have been in one spot for the amount of time I'm going to be in this spot. And it's really cute. It's a really cute little place just for me. I love the location. It's absolutely perfect. It's exactly what I need. And I'm so ready to step into this new phase of my life, this new chapter of my life. And what a wonderful time to do it. What an amazing way to end the last chapter and the last book before actually moving here. And I will get fully into it because this summer was, a doozy, okay? And I know I've been hinting at it all summer. I know I've been like, wow, this is so amazing, and I'll talk about it once it's all over. And now that I'm in this new chapter of life and I'm starting this chapter fresh, I figure it's been a little while since we've done a story time here on this podcast. I feel like recently we've been doing a lot more personal development, things like that, but we haven't done a good story time. So let's get into it with what the hell I did this summer. I feel like this is hilarious. I feel like this is when you come back to school after you've been away for the summer and you're telling all your friends like, oh, what'd you do this summer? And you have to like get up in front of the class and tell everybody what you got up to. I feel that's what's happening right now. So let's rewind, okay? Let's rewind all the way back to May 31st. May 31st, I took a red eye leaving LA, and by this point I knew for a fact, I said, I know I'm obsessed with LA. I know that it's everything I love about Miami, everything I love about New York. I feel so aligned here. I love who I am in this place. I love how I prioritize my health and my business and my creativity, and I'm in a community that also prioritizes the same things that are important to me. And I absolutely love being here. So I knew when I left that I was coming back. And I already had some trips booked through the summer that I couldn't miss. They were already booked, flights booked, we're ready to go. And we'll get through that. But I knew I was going to basically bookend this summer with 2 European trips. Initially, I thought I was going to stay in Europe the entire summer, but that did not end up happening. And for good reason, because I had quite a journey this summer. So, I take my red eye, I leave LA, and I go to my hometown. I had 1 week in my hometown to kind of refresh, recharge, get my shit together a little bit, unpack, repack. I saw my loved ones, I saw my friends and family, and it was really lovely. But one thing I have to say about going to your hometown, which I think is pretty relatable, especially around the holidays, when people go back to visit their family, they go back to visit their friends, is that when you go back to old environments, especially with your family, it's very easy and honestly kind of expected to go back to old patterns and to go back to old ways of being, and everyone kind of falls into their routine, falls into their pattern. And as much as I love my family, it was different year, same shit, where I went back and I hung out with my friends and family, and the same kind of tumultuous bullshit was happening. And I don't want to get too much into what that is, but if you have a little bit of a complicated relationship with your family, especially around the holidays, I'm sure you can relate. But it was just like different year, same shit. It's just the same thing over and over again, where there are conflicts happening and toxicity. And I sit there and I'm like, I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised that all of this is going down. I'm not even surprised at all of these fights that are happening between these people. And I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I like being in a place where this is just the norm. Like, it's not good for me. It's not healthy for me. So I went back and I was like, oh, definitely don't want to go back to my hometown. I mean, I knew this. I never want to go back to my hometown to live full time. Actually, after about 10 days, I'm itching to leave my hometown, even though I love it. I got to spend some great quality time with my 2 childhood best friends who still live in Philly. And I grew up outside of Philly, so it was really nice to go and see my friends in Philly. And it's always such a nice time to kind of unite. And some things that I'm noticing about my friends in general, not just my childhood friends, but I feel like everyone right now is going through this amazing transition in life where they are leveling the fuck up. They're getting new jobs, they're getting new relationships, they're moving, they're going to school. Everyone I know in my life is experiencing this kind of glow up this year. I guess it's year of the horse, right? We've been talking about this all year, but everyone I'm seeing has been experiencing this. And it was really lovely to just sit and hang out with my friends and to celebrate them and to celebrate these huge new accomplishments that are happening in their lives. But my week at home was pretty chill. It wasn't anything too crazy. I made sure I got to the pool. I made sure I had time with my friends, my family, and it was just lovely. And after that, this brings us to the big trip that was planned months prior, which was I was going back to Paris. I was going back to Paris to spend some time with my 2 girlfriends, Caitlin and Rochelle. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you guys know that I last year lived in a community living house in Paris. And picture this for me, okay? 30 hot, young, single, working professionals in a big-ass house in Paris. There's friendship, there's betrayal, there's love octagons, there's personal growth, there's crazy adventure, there's everything you could want. We've been saying that, oh my God, this is basically a reality show. You could not have written a better chick flick, you could not have written a better reality show. And I've been saying all year, I was like, why we should do something with the story. We should tell the story about what happened last summer and shoot it in beautiful places all over Paris. So I kind of bullied my friends into doing this crazy project with me, which is called Summer 66, where we told the entire story about what happened last summer. But every day we went and shot in a beautiful scenes around Paris and France. And it was so much fun, and it was a crazy project, and in a lot of ways it was very cathartic because we were recording through the stories about what happened the years prior, and at the same time it was the end of my friend's time, both of my friends' times in the house. So we were kind of really reflecting on our lessons learned and reflecting on the stories, but then also kind of reflecting on saying goodbye to this house. And in a lot of beautiful ways, this was kind of full circle for me, because when I left the Paris house, I was devastated. I did not want to leave. I was so happy in my life in Paris last summer. I felt like I finally had a full, happy life. I had friends, I had community. It was just lovely. And when I left that life to continue on with my travels and go to Burning Man, I was devastated. I went through a lot of grief, and I felt like I ripped myself prematurely from that life. So to go back to the house again, it's mostly new set of people. I mean, there was a handful of people who were still the same from the summer prior. So I walk in the house and people know me like, oh, Sasha, my Sasha. They all know me, they all love me. But there are a lot of new people in the house. And with new people in a reality TV show comes new characters. And honestly, the vibe of the house really changed. And my friends warned me about it, but it was way more different than I was expecting. And in a lot of ways it was great because I got a lot more quality one-on-one time with my friends instead of hanging out outside in the sacred smoke circle until 2-3 o'clock in the morning every single night. It was more just good quality time with me and my girlfriends, like hanging out in the room, smoking J's out the window, like just chilling, instead of just, you know, in this like party scene all the time. And a lot of the characters, I didn't click with them as much. And for me, it was really helpful to kind of go back and be like, wow, I have a very full, happy life here, and I had so much grief over leaving this house, but now that I'm back, I'm able to say goodbye properly because it's not the same as it was. I don't feel FOMO anymore for leaving before I wanted to. I was there, and I was able to say goodbye to the house in a way that felt really cathartic in a lot of ways for me, especially after ripping myself from that life prematurely. And it was also the end of my friend's time in the house as well, so it wasn't like I had any FOMO about them being there and me being away. And it was really special in that way. And it was magical. Like, so recording the project was magical, and coming soon, that's coming out soon. I haven't even started editing that, guys, and I don't really know what it's going to look like as far as distribution goes, but that project is coming and it's incredible, so stay tuned for that project. But it was really stunning. And in all of these old lives that I'm going back to, my hometown, this one, the next ones I'll get into, it was really lovely to drop myself into these environments, because you are a product of your environment, right? So I go back and I drop myself into these environments, and I'm able to look around and understand what my life looks like in these places. So I was able to go back to Paris and understand, wow, I have a very full, happy life here. I have friends, I have loved ones here, but I know I work my ass to the bone and I party my ass to the bone, and I just sacrifice sleep. I was like, oh, I'll just work nonstop and I'll just party nonstop, and then I just won't sleep. But I know what my life looks like there. I know what my life looks like in my hometown, where I'm working, I'm hustling, I have a little bit of downtime with my family, but I also know it's a very tumultuous family situation. I know I have a lot of friends and family and loved ones in my hometown, but it's not a healthy environment for me to be in long term. And there, in the Paris chapter as well, there were some other pieces that kind of came to the surface as far as me wrapping up old chapters, and I'm not going to get into it, and I know I've been teasing, like, oh, I'll tell you the full story about the summer, yada, 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 but in the same way that last summer I did not want to tell the story of Monsieur 66, I have to say that Monsieur 66 made a return, and I don't really want to tell that full story right now either, mainly because I talked about the full story about what happened with Monsieur 66 on the Summer of 66 project. And you might need to come back for season 2 or season 3 to hear about how everything wrapped up with him. But just know that you could not have written a better ending to our story. And it was absolutely lovely and fantastic, and it was very full circle. And, I won't give the story of Monsieur 66, but I know you guys are like, oh no, Sasha, you're teasing us. You're such a tease. Okay, I'm sorry. Instead of telling you about the story about Monsieur 66, I will tell you guys the story of quite literally the worst date I've ever been on. The men in France, they love their little romances. Like, they always say, Paris is the most romantic city. You know what? It is, okay? I cannot go outside. I mean, this goes for anywhere. I cannot go outside without getting fucking hit on, okay? But I was in Paris. I was out with my girlfriend. We were having a very chill night out. We went for drinks, we went for some late night food, and on our way to get some late night food, some man approaches me on the street, and he starts babbling to me in French, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I speak French, but I'm sitting there like, huh? What? I was like, there's times where my French works and times where my French doesn't work. What are you saying? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. You are very handsome. I was like, thanks. So this guy, Monsieur Handsome, okay, he's cold hitting on me, and he's like, oh, I just wanted to tell you you're very beautiful. It's just a compliment. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, well, can I take you out? And I was like, sure, you can take me out. This guy seems physically like my type, okay? I love a gym rat. He's a gym rat, okay? He's a tall, muscly dude. So I was like, all right, fine, let's go out. So we end up scheduling a date for the next week, okay? This motherfucker, he texts me, and he's like, are you ready for the best date of your life? And I was like, sure. And he's like, one condition, you have to wear your favorite outfit. And I was like, first of all, this man does not know me. He does not know my background in fashion. He doesn't know that. I was like, okay, that's kind of cocky and kind of hot-ish. So we'll see where this goes. And I'm thinking, best date of my life in Paris. What are you going to do? Are we going to have a Lizzie McGuire moment? Are you going to take me on the Vespa around the city? Are we going to go watch the Eiffel Tower sparkle? Are you going to take me to some fancy restaurant? What are we doing? Like, to say that's going to be the best date of your life in Paris, like, oh my God, expectations were high, right? So he texts me and he's like, hey, do you know this neighborhood? And it's like a neighborhood out by Roland Garros, the French Open. So I was like, I've been there, but it's also an hour away from where I'm staying. And I was like, yeah, like I've been there once, whatever, no big deal. And he's like, okay, well, come meet me there. I was like, okay, fine. So I take the train an hour outside of where I'm living to the outskirts of Paris. And I get to this spot and he's a little late. So he's like, okay, meet me at this rooftop bar. I was like, okay, hot, rooftop bar, love that. So I go to this bar and the rooftop bar is above a hotel. And I was like, I'm not going to go up to the rooftop without him. And it's also a heat wave, right? So I'm like, I'm going to wait in the lobby until he shows up and then we'll see what happens. So he gets to the fucking lobby and he's like, oh, let's just have drinks here. First of all, this hotel lobby is not the Ritz. It is not anything to write home about, okay? It is just some basic ass hotel. It's not the nicest, it's not the worst, but it's just like fine. And we have mediocre cocktails at this mediocre hotel bar. And he's interrupting me every other sentence to correct my French, which I'm like, dude, at my best, I'm semi-fluent. At worst, I'm very conversational. And I use filler words sometimes like or you know. So I'm using these filler words and he's interrupting me to correct my French. Ugh, gross. I'm all for a pointer. I'm all for improving my French, but you don't need to interrupt me to correct me every other sentence. And he was making jokes about how I'm racist because I'm American, and he's like pulling my chair in close and telling me to stand up to see how tall I am. And I learned absolutely nothing about this man except for the fact that he's a 43-year-old construction foreman. And that's it. That's all I learned about this guy. And we're just making like kind of small talk, but it's really nothing special. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of already over it at this point. But I'm like, I made an hour fucking trip out here. So whatever. I'm gotta make the most of it. So he's like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, like I could eat, like sure. He's like, okay, great, we'll go to a Caribbean spot around the corner. Amazing, I love Caribbean food, let's go, I'm so into it. So we show up to this Caribbean spot, okay? And I love Caribbean food. I barely gagged down the food. Like, it was really not that great. But here's where we get to the part where the date takes a motherfucking turn, all right? He orders some appetizer platter thing, and on there's blood sausage. This motherfucker cuts it and starts feeding me across the table, and I'm so taken aback. I'm like, what is happening? Okay, he does it once. I'm like, okay, one time, fine. He does it a second time, and the second time he goes, oh wait, no. You broke eye contact with me. You have to do it again and maintain eye contact with me the whole time. And he makes me do it a third time, and he says, that's the first sausage I'm gonna shove in your mouth tonight. And I'm like, what? Ugh, gross, kill me. Okay, I'm like, at this point, I'm so over it. I'm like, how can I make an escape out of the bathroom? But the other part of me is like, honestly, it's so bad. I gotta stay for the story at this point. And this guy's telling me, he's like, oh yeah, I live in Versailles, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't even live in Paris. He lives 20 minutes outside of Paris, if that's where he says he lives. So I'm like, okay, whatever. We get the check, we leave. We don't even have a real meal. We just have these disgusting appetizers, okay? We end up leaving, and at this point, I'm like, okay, this motherfucker is gonna kiss me, and then I'm gonna get on the train, and I'm gonna go. Ah, was I wrong? Was I so wrong? You know what he does? We're standing outside the restaurant. It is full broad daylight, okay? People are walking their dogs. People are hanging out. He grabs my hair, and he pulls me in close. And does he kiss me? No. You know what he does? He shoves his motherfucking thumb in my mouth. What? And then he starts trying to pet me, like under my dress and above my underwear on the street in broad daylight. I'm like, he didn't even kiss me yet. He shoved his thumb in my mouth. It's disgusting. I mean, like, listen, I'm all for fingers in the mouth, but like when I know you and when we're like together in the same, bed after we've been hooking up, like not before you kiss me. I was like, what? Who is this guy? I was like, please get me to the train. So I'm like, all right, we're going by walking. And I'm thinking he's walking me to the train. No. Where does he walk me? He walks me to his white van. And he's like, he opens the door and he's grabbing my hand and pulling me into the car. And I'm like, I'm not getting in the car with you. He's like, why? Don't you trust me? And I was like, no, I literally don't know who you are. You live 20 minutes outside of Paris. I don't know anything about you. Your white van is creepy. No, I'm not getting in the car with you, and I'm not going with you. I'm not going with you wherever you're going. I'm not getting in the car with you. And at this point, he kisses me, and he's whispering the most dirty things. I've honestly had to take note of some of them because I was like, oof, I got to use this later. He's whispering the most dirty things to me about how he must have me before I leave France and all this bullshit. And I was like, He's like, no, get in the car with me. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow. Haha. Whatever. He walks me to the train. He's like, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, great. And how did that end? Well, basically, he texts me the next day and I ghost his ass. And after me ghosting his ass, he's like, I can't see you anyway. And I was like, okay, like I fucking care. That was really for the story. Also, is this motherfucker still trying to text me? Yeah. And I ended up making a joke the last time he texted me, being like, oh, I have to maintain my promise. I think I replied to his first message and I was like, was your promise to take me on the best date of my life? Because that was not it. And I basically ghosted this guy. He's like, when's the next time you're coming to France? And I was like, you think I'm going to come see you next time I'm in France? Fat chance. There's no way. Oh, God, creepy. So gross. So that's that there. So that's a funny, horrible date story. But just know that with other romantic pieces, things wrapped up in a really beautiful, full circle kind of way. And I don't want to get into that story here. Maybe at a later date, or maybe season 3 of Summer of 66. You'll hear how things end beautifully with Monsieur 66. So let's move forward. In that 3 weeks in Paris, I had really great quality time with my girlfriends. I'm working, we're recording, I'm hanging out, we're partying, we're smoking J's, I'm going out on random dates with these creepy dudes, apparently. And we have Fête de la Musique. It's my friend Richelle's birthday. We're just having the best time. At one point we go to Biarritz, me, Caitlin, and Richelle, and we have the best time in Biarritz. No one is hitting on us because we are so obsessed with each other. We're like standing at the bar in a little triangle, like holding hands. So no one is approaching us. No one's bothering us. We're just having our time and our sweet, fun, girly time. And there's so many stories that happened within this time, but I don't think I can get into it right now. Stay tuned for maybe another season of Summer of 66, but just know that it was like a really beautiful way to wrap up my chapter there, especially considering how I felt like I ripped myself from that life prematurely. And it was stunning. It was stunning. It was so perfect, and it really set the tone for the rest of the summer. But basically, I flew home and I had approximately 12 hours at home in my hometown before I got on the train and went to New York. And I went to Brooklyn and I stayed with my old boss and mentor and friend. And I stayed on her couch for a couple of days in Brooklyn. And this was my last time going to the office as an employee since I quit my 9-to-5 job, and I gave them a lot of notice, so I'm wrapping up very soon with this job. And it was my last time ever going into the office as an employee. So it was lunches with my work colleagues and my work wife and my work girlfriend. It was after dinner drinks with my work colleagues. The CEO, founder, and the president took me out for drinks, and I'm hanging out with my old boss, and it was, again, a really beautiful way of going back to an old life. And in New York, when I was living in New York, I also felt like I ripped myself prematurely from that life as well. And to go back to this life and to see, wow, I really have a very full, happy life here. I have so many friends and so much family, and I have work here, and I have a full, happy life here. But it's also not what I see for myself anymore. It's not a city where I prioritize my health. My socializing is really revolved around cocktails and dinners. It's not revolved around health and wellness. It's a really anxiety-inducing city. It's a very stress-inducing city. And as much as I love New York and I love the hustle bustle of it all, it's just not the best for my health. And realizing that and being able to go back to this old life and to understand, okay, wow, I love this life, but it's not what I see for myself anymore, is a really beautiful thing. And I ended up seeing my girlfriend, who ended up getting married at the end of the summer, which we'll get there, but I just saw my loved ones and had some time to just wrap everything up in a really beautiful way and to wrap a beautiful bow on my time in New York and be like, wow, okay, I'm ready to move on from this life as well. So it was stunning. And I ended up going back to my hometown for one night. I got home and my one childhood best friend calls me and he's like, what are you doing tonight? I was like, nothing. He's like, great, let's go get dinner. I'm coming to you. We'll get dinner, we'll get ice cream, we'll hang out. And it was just, again, such a beautiful way to hang out. The next day, I go and spend 4th of July with my other childhood best friend who I've known since I was 5 years old. And I've actually never met his friends, funny enough. I've never met his inner circle. And when I sat there and hung out with him and his friends, I realized you truly are who you surround yourself with, because I was there and hanging out with him in his inner circle. And I'm like, oh my God, he's literally a sum of the people he's spending time around in a really cool, beautiful way. So it was really amazing to see that. And I love the kind of friendship where, like, I have known this guy since I was 5 years old. There's zero weirdness. I'm like, I can just tell him, be like, I'm going to the master room showering, and I'm like, oh, should I sleep on the couch? He's like, why are you sleeping on the couch? Just sleep in the bed. And we're able to sleep in the same bed so platonically. That's the kind of friendship that we have. We're just so close. We've been friends since we were 5 years old. He's my brother. Just love this person to the end of the planet. And it was really beautiful and really fun. We're at the beach for 8 hours. I'm the only one who brings an umbrella, so all these motherfuckers are crowding around this little umbrella trying to get my shade. We have a cooler in the middle. They're like, oh my God, we can play cards. I slam my We're Not Really Strangers cards on the cooler, and I'm like, all right, bet, let's go. And we're just at the beach for 8 hours. It's just amazing. We're having the best time. And it was just fun. We end up being at home, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go to sleep. I want team sleep. And his roommate was like, oh, could everyone be ready to go if the car was coming in 10 minutes? They're like, no. And he's like, okay, great, the car's coming in 10 minutes. I was like, fuck, I didn't want to go, but I was like, I have to rally. So we went to the casino, we had a good time. I lost $100. Great, amazing. End up getting back, sleeping for a little bit, and I get up and I drive home to my hometown, and my mom and I embark, and we decided to leave that day for a road trip, and we were supposed to be gone for a month and a half. It didn't end up being that long, but my mom and I embark on this epic journey road trip that we're taking up and down the East Coast to go visit our family. So we drive. I'm so sleep deprived. I sleep for the first 6 hours. My mom drives. We drive down to Wilmington, North Carolina, because am I a One Tree Hill fan? Yes, I am. So we went there, we hung out, I worked, we explored the town. It was really cute, really quaint, and adorable. We had a great dinner out. It was just like good mother-daughter time, and we're having all that time in the car together too, so it's really nice. And we're both fully remote, so we're working during the day, and then we're just hanging out in the evenings. We're there for 2 nights. We end up driving outside of Hilton Head to go visit my grandpa, and again, same thing. We're both working during the day and then hanging out in the evenings, and it was just really good quality family time. And my mom and I know with my grandpa and his house that we have a certain amount of time that it works. Like 4 to 5 days are perfect to spend with my grandpa. And then after that, we're like, okay, it's time to go. So we knew that going in. So we booked 4 to 5 days, and it was fun. My grandpa lives in a bigger retirement community. So we're like going to their reggae and rum night and hanging out, watching all the older people like in their drama. It's cute. So we just had a great time there, and such a beautiful way to kind of hang out with quality time with my grandpa and just hang and chill, and it was just nice. After that, we drove outside of Atlanta, Georgia to Athens, Georgia to visit my other side of the family. And this was probably the most challenging piece of the summer, because there are 10 family members of mine who live in Athens, Georgia. It's funny because it's the Indian side of my family, but it's the most white redneck southern shit you've ever seen. We have farmland, and they hunt and they fish and they garden, they live off the land, they kill deer and make venison Slim Jims and stuff like that. It's definitely an interesting thing, but I have 10 family members who live down there, and I'm not going to get into the drama about what was happening, but I found that everyone in the family was venting to me about each other, and it was feeling like a very, very toxic dynamic between all of these family members, because all of them are unloading all of this onto me, and I was just feeling really dragged down by it. And I was working myself to the bone, honestly, partially to avoid dealing with all this drama and this toxicity I was experiencing with the family. And it was just really challenging. I was talking to my therapist about it, and he's like, you know what, you have to have the conversation head on. You have to have the conversation and host a town hall, because everyone's clearly upset about what's happening. Everyone is, number one, not communicating their expectations, their feelings, and their boundaries with each other. Number two, no one feels like they can communicate with the people that they're upset with because they feel like they're walking on eggshells and it won't be received well. And number three is everyone wants to be happier and healthier and closer as a family. And everyone wanted the same thing, but no one was saying it, and it was becoming these really unhealthy ways of communicating with each other. At one point, I have a cry with my 90-year-old grandmother over how toxic the family dynamics are, okay? It was not pretty. And so after spending time with my family, and I had time with all of them, and it was like pleasant to some degree, but it was very challenging. On our last day, which was family day, it was the only day we were all together, and when everyone was in the room, I said, hey guys, listen, I need to get something off my chest. And I basically said exactly what I just said just now about these 1, 2, 3 things. And I was like, and no one has to say anything, but if anyone comes to me moving forward complaining about another family member, my first and only response is going to be, have you talked to that person? Because if the answer is no, I cannot help you. If something is bothering you, go talk to that person about it. If someone is bothering you, go talk to that person about it. If something is bothering you, go deal with it head on instead of bitching to everybody else, instead of letting this mountain grow of something that's bothering you. This is something I've learned time and time again through therapy, but also through my life, is address the thing that is bothering you head on and it will subside. And what you resist will persist. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it head on. I'm going to communicate this head on. And yeah, what happened after I did that? Nothing. Nothing happened. No one said anything. We all continued on the day, all holly jolly, like nothing happened. So no one said anything. No one did anything. And I was like, you know what? I've said the thing. I knew at that point that nothing was going to change unless I said something. And I'm like, we're all adults here. We can all communicate our feelings. And I'm just going to be the first one to say something. And I feel like I've had to come to terms with accepting the fact that I hope they change and I hope that the dynamics get healthier, but at the end of the day, I've learned to accept that these things may never change. These people may never change. The family dynamics may never change. All I can do is control my actions and reactions, and that's it. So I'm keeping my side of the street clean. I am controlling how I react to things, how I act about things, and if someone else decides not to change and if someone else decides not to improve their lives, that's on them. That is not on me. So that's that. And I was like, all right. So my mom and I, after that, we left the next day and we went to Atlanta. My mom is debating if she wanted to move to Atlanta when she retires. So she wanted to go and explore the city a little bit. And my mother is a saint because she knew that I was really feeling very burned out at this point. I was really worn down to the bone emotionally and physically and with work and with my to-do lists. And it's just been a lot. So she knew this and she booked an Airbnb for us that really prioritized what I prioritize in my life, which was a gym and a pool. And I had the best week with my mom. I did not leave that Airbnb. I ate so clean that week. Up until this point, I've been eating like shit. I've been drinking almost every day. I've been smoking a lot. And I was just so over it. And I was like, oh my God, I need a break. I just want to eat clean. I just want to work out. I just want to go to the pool. I just want to work. That's all I want to do. And that's all I did. I did not leave the Airbnb. I literally ate super clean. I got up. I worked. I would work out. I'd go to the pool. I'd come home and I'd fall asleep watching the Tony Robbins Network and call her daddy. And I was like, honestly, this is a perfect life to me. This is a perfect life to me. I'm so content, so happy. If I could just do that every day, I'd feel great. And that's what I did. And it felt really, really nice to just take a second, chill out, calm down, and take care of myself. This entire time of this entire summer up until this point, I've been really going through this really intense mental health challenge and this spiraling that I've been doing around a situation that I'm going through. And what I learned in that is, okay, I'm spiraling, I'm not doing well, whatever. How do you fix it? I learned the way to fix it is to fill your own cup up, is to take care of yourself, is to prioritize the things that are important to you. So for me, that looked like eating really clean and working out and going to the pool and getting my work done. And I found that, okay, I just fill my own cup up, I take care of myself, and because I'm feeling so good about myself, the spiraling subsides and the mental health challenges subside and get smaller because I'm really prioritizing myself and my own self-care and my own mental health and my own physical health. And that's what I learned through that whole situation. So it was beautiful. And on the way back, my mom and I were there for about a week. They ended up booting our car for no reason as we were on our way out, which was a whole story in itself, but they ended up fixing it. It was no big deal. We had a very smooth travel experience, like other than that one thing. So what a blessing that it was only that one thing. But regardless, it was a whole ass thing. My mom and I brought beach chairs with us in case we could go to the beach. And I literally parked my beach chair out in the parking garage, waiting for this motherfucker to take the boot off our car, even though we paid to be there. It was like a whole ass thing. So we ended up driving back. We drove a lot that last weekend. We drove from Atlanta to Raleigh, where we stopped and had dinner with two really close friends. I officiated their wedding. They're my friends from high school, and it was really sweet to connect with them and see them. And we had dinner with them and my mom, and it was really lovely to see them and in their hometown, and it was amazing. And we drove all the way back to our hometown, and we stopped in Annapolis, Maryland to have lunch with some other family members and to connect with them. And it was like a really amazing trip to just go and see loved ones and friends and family. And we decided to cut the road trip 2 weeks short because I was supposed to have a beach tennis tournament where I was speaking on a panel, but that wellness portion kind of got canceled. So I was like, oh, well, we don't need to be in Ocean City, Maryland anymore, so we can just go home. So we decided to go home. And I needed to get a dental surgery anyway, so we decided to go home for that. So we went home and we spent some time just at home, and my sister ended up getting a house, and I'm hanging out with my childhood best friends and having great quality time with them and going to the pool every day, and it's just nice. We had like one other thing scheduled, which was Hillary Duff, and we planned to see Hillary Duff on the route back. But we're like, okay, you know what? Let's just go home and we'll just drive back down for Hillary Duff. So that's what we decided to do. And Hillary Duff was really, really special and a very, very special full circle moment because my first concert in 2007 was to see Hillary Duff. I was a Hillary Duff stan. I had the posters. I was obsessed with her. Obsessed with Hillary Duff. I mean, who wasn't, obviously, but I was obsessed with Hillary Duff. And when we saw her for the first time, we drove out to the Allentown Fair and we saw her and I cried. I was just so excited. And it was so beautiful and full circle. Again, every single piece of the summer has just been tremendous learnings and tremendous full circle moments and tying bows on things and just like wrapping up all these chapters in such a beautiful way. And this felt like such another full circle moment where my mom and I took another road trip down to Virginia to go see Hillary Duff. And my mom cried this time because she's like, this is your childhood, this is amazing. And we just had so much fun. It was raining and I had my pink Crocs and we had our ponchos and we get our drinks, and it took an hour and a half to get an Uber out of the place afterwards. We made the Uber go through the McDonald's drive-thru. We're eating McDonald's at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's just fun. It's just fun. And it felt like such a beautiful full circle moment. And then I had that last week in my hometown. I saw my childhood best friends. I got cold hit on out on the street again and went on another like mediocre date, had another kind of booty call scheduled and canceled because just gross. Honestly, for me, with the romance, and like I know I'm not talking about this much anymore on the podcast, and I want to continue to know. What I've decided is I will only tell a story when it's over, and I'll just tell you guys these kind of funny stories because I don't care about these people at all. But one thing I have to say that I've also learned in this experience is that you get the love that you tolerate, and some of these people were just treating me like a whole. Some of these guys were just treating me like a whole and not a person, and I was like, ew, I will not accept treatment that's like this. I deserve to be treated really, really well and nicely and absolutely adored and taken out nicely. And I'm not going to settle for this like 20-minute drink, come back to my place, like no. Or the text that's like, hey, just come over when I don't know you, have never been around you before. We've made out one time on a New Year's Eve party. Like, no. And these people are treating me like a whole, and I'm just like, ugh, no, don't want to deal with these guys. Not for me. So yeah, I learned that through this whole thing too, is through these romantic experiences. I just like learned that you get the treatment that you tolerate, and I'm like, I won't be tolerating a lot of bullshit moving forward because it's like, don't waste my time. I have more things to do with my time than be treated like a whole and not a person, honestly. So it was kind of whatever, and nice to be home, but also just after 10 days I was itching to leave. And that takes us to the last portion of the summer, which is my last Euro trip. And I was in between a couple of things that I wanted to do. I was invited to go to Germany to hang out with someone from Tony Robbins. I had a bunch of plans and ideas about what I wanted to do in Europe for the first portion of that trip. I ended up going out with my plan C, which was I went to London to go visit my best friend Josh from the Mastermind Moments podcast. If you haven't listened, go ahead and listen. He's turning 30 at the end of this month, and I wanted to go and celebrate him. And he's going through it emotionally, I'm going through it emotionally, so I was like, we kind of need each other right now to lean on each other and to process through what we're going through. And also our podcast, the Mastermind Moments podcast, is taking a transition right now. He has had zero bandwidth since starting his new job. And I was chatting with my other mutual friend, Danny, who is part of the same Tony Robbins friend group, and he was telling me, hey, listen, what if you put on more guests? And I was like, well, how would you feel about rotating in as like a third co-host? And he's like, yeah, I'd love that. And I talked to Josh about it. Josh loved it. So I went and we recorded an episode, the three of us, talking about the transition and talking about the podcast. So if you want to listen, go ahead and listen on Mastermind Moments, and you'll be seeing more of both Danny and Josh there. But it was really lovely. And literally the entirety of my time in Europe was just hanging out with Tony Robbins people. And honestly, it was so necessary. It was so necessary because, again, with this mental health challenge I've been going through this entire summer, I really needed a reset to talk to my friends about it. And I was spiraling and spiraling and spiraling, and came to the conclusion where I'm like, you know what? I have no more data to go off of. No other data I can analyze to dig myself deeper in this hole. And here's one thing I will say. If you're spiraling, if you are going in circles in your head about the outcomes of situations, all I have to say is this. Have you done everything in your power to make it work? If the answer is yes, okay, great, relax. If the answer is no, okay, go do that thing. And I had a lot of confidence and a lot of peace knowing that in my situation, I gave something my all. I gave something my all. I can only control my actions and reactions. And to be able to talk to my friends about that was a really helpful mindset shift for me. Instead of spiraling about, oh my God, why is this thing not working? Instead, I said, you know what? I did everything in my power that I could, and now I have to surrender to the experience and just be okay with it. And I also found another thing that I learned in this time was, if I'm starting to spiral, I needed to approach it like a meditation. So I started doing this practice while I was in London, where if I was starting to spiral about this situation that's been happening, I would treat it like a meditation, where I would catch myself doing it, and I'd bring myself back to the moment by literally saying out loud or to myself what I was doing in that moment. I'd be like, okay, I'm in Josh's bathroom brushing my teeth. Okay, I'm on the train going to have dinner with Danny. Okay, I'm walking to the park. Okay, I'm working on my podcast right now. And I would have to bring myself back to the moment and focus on what I was doing in that moment. So I would treat it as a meditation. So if I was starting to spiral, I would catch it and bring myself back. And in a lot of ways, I think meditation has really helped me with that practice, but that's another thing. If you're spiraling about something, that just to bring yourself back to the present moment and to understand that you are right here, right now. So again, it was just so beautiful and so necessary to go and hang out with my Tony Robbins friends. And then I ended up flying to Poland to go as a bridesmaid in a wedding, another Tony Robbins friend, and it was such a beautiful time. I didn't see any of Poland. The only thing I saw of Poland was the walk from the hotel to Old Town, around Old Town, and around my hotel. And that's the only thing I saw. There was so much wedding shit happening that I didn't have any time to go see Poland. I was like working wedding shit. I connected with some people at this wedding and just had the best time. And it was a great way to round out my travels and to really, really celebrate not only my friends, but the end of this crazy summer chapter. And it felt really special and really fun and magical. I literally went from the wedding. I did not go back to the hotel after the wedding. I basically went from the wedding to the airport, and I flew from Poland to Paris. I had a 4-hour layover there. I flew from Paris to Philadelphia. I had a 23-hour layover in my hometown where I literally unpacked and repacked and saw my sister, and that was it. And then yesterday I flew to LA, and now we're here, and that's my summer. And in this summer, I glazed over all of it and basically told you the chronologicals about what happened, but just know in every single chapter of that summer, I was able to go back to these old lives. I was able to go to these relationships and tie things up in a really beautiful, neat bow, so that I can fully commit to my life here in LA. And in every single place I went, I didn't feel as good about myself there as I do here. So let's chat about my time here in LA. So I'm here in LA now. Today's my first full day in this new life, and I'm on my period, so it's a great time for reflection. And I am sitting here, and my therapist asked me, what's your intention for the fall? What's your intention for moving to LA? And I said, my intention is to commit. My intention is to commit to the outcome, which for me looks like a lot of different things. It looks like committing to a place to live, which I have done. It looks like committing to taking my business full time and pursuing entrepreneurship and this podcast and these other pursuits that are happening, committing to that fully and taking a giant leap of faith in that way, and just not being distracted by other work or by other things or by things that are not aligned, and committing to aligned relationships, if that's family, friend, and romantic. So my intention is to just fully commit and to prioritize my health and my wellness and my success. So that looks like taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, and putting the fucking inspired action in to make sure that this happens no matter what. And my intention is also to have fun, to enjoy my time here, and to enjoy this life that I'm creating for myself in this new environment, because it is a fresh environment. It is a new environment for me. I mean, yes, I lived here for 2 months before, and it was pure magic. You could not have written a better thing. It was absolute pure magic in every single way, shape, and form, and I fell in love here. I fell in love with it here. I fell in love here, and I am ready to continue to fall deeper and deeper in love with my life here in LA, with my health, with my career, with my finances, with my community, with my spirituality, with my relationships. I'm ready and willing and able and determined to co-create this life with the universe, and to surrender to the experience, and to give it everything I have, and to listen to the universe, and to listen to the signs, and to just build this life for myself in any way that feels great. I'm clear about what I want, and I'm clear about what I desire, and I am clear about the life I'm building for myself. And I'm also clear about who I need to be in order to attract that life, because you attract what you are, not what you want. I'm clear about what I want. I'm clear about who I need to be. And now I am making the active choice to show up as that person every single goddamn day starting today. And have we done it? So far, yeah. So far, yeah. We've done it. I haven't done an episode like this for a while, where I kind of recounted my travel stories or told any stories like that. And honestly, I know these episodes are mostly for me anyway, as a reflection point and as a recording about what I'm going through in a moment of time. But all I have to say is I'm very, very excited to be here, and I am very excited to embrace this new chapter of my life. I'm very excited to live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins. The rest is still unwritten. The rest is still unwritten. I know this time has flown by, and you just know I gotta try to say something right, do something right, because that's the vibe. We'll catch you guys next week on the Visualize Meditations podcast. Also, y'all, if you made it to the end, I'm proud of you, and thanks for listening to my crazy summer. I know it's kind of more of an audio diary than actually a podcast where I'm telling you how to improve your life, but listen, there were definitely nuggets of wisdom in there, and definitely some funny stories in there, and there were definitely more through the summer. I'm also going to throw this in here. I'm partnering with the Waking Up Meditation app, so if you want to have a 14-day free trial, I will add the link in the description and in the show notes. And we will catch you guys next week on the Visualize Meditations podcast. Bye!
I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and aligned. Make sure you're following the show so you never miss out on our weekly meditations or solo chats. I love connecting with you guys. Let's talk on Instagram and TikTok at Visualize Meditations, and we will catch you guys next week on the Visualize Meditations podcast. Bye!